It seems to me the movie business has changed a lot. Instead of working through, say, a studio like MGM or Paramount, I'm seeing all these production companies rolled out in the credits, sometimes five and six of them. You never
Hmm.
see their names again, almost like they were shell companies or something. I don't know anything here. I'm
Yeah.
just, I just marvel at all of the ways movies come out now. Did you find that that was a struggle cobbling together? And forgive me, I don't remember the name of the company that actually released yours.
So 6 years ago, when we released the first one, it was a lot different. I wouldn't say easier. TV was still kind of a thing back then.
Okay.
So now, I mean, of course, TV is still a thing, but it's much more of the on-demand viewing. And so we had a company called FilmRise last time, and then they went and found distribution with the help of CAA to get CNN Films on board to show the movie, and that got like 2 million views, 2 million viewers, a nonstop promotion for it leading up to it. And this time around, it's like while airing on a national network like CNN would have still been great, it's just the landscape's changed so much. And the company we went with this time was Gravitas Ventures, who I had actually worked with
Gravitas.
before a few years ago and had success with on a film. Um, and they basically take your movie and they can just for you, they'll do all the work and put it out on every basically streaming platform there is. Um, and it's working in a different way. It's number one right now on music documentaries on Apple, and it's number two in all documentaries. So
Wow.
it's just a different mode of getting it in front of a lot of people. And then I think down the line it'll probably be on like airplanes and stuff like that. So I've always been of the mind that as long as eyeballs are seeing it, it doesn't matter if it's on national television or streaming and going to number one that way.
Yeah.
Still people seeing your movie.
And it seems to help to have a platform. This is the oldest formula in the book. A band doesn't really go on tour unless they have an album, unless you're Chicago, in which case you're evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now more than ever was a project that was almost like a companion event to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Was that the same timing?
Yes and no. So actually, it's kind of a reverse companion because we started making Now More Than Ever in May of 2013. And it was just me, my cinematographer, and an assistant cameraman who this is focus pulling, by the way, when I do that. Um, we went out and shot most of the movie, I would say, from 2013 to 2015. And the end of the original cut was all of these luminaries in the movie, like David Foster, Clive Davis, Irving Azoff, saying, "It's a shame Chicago's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame." And we finished the movie. It was done, sound mixed, color corrected. And then it was, I think, November. And I got a text from
Oh,
my sound guy, and he just goes, "Uh-oh." And it was Chicago got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I was like, I felt so great for the guys in the group, but I was also like, I'm going to have to open the edit now. And so we were premiering at Sedona International Film Festival a couple months later, and the Hall of Fame was going to happen a month after that or 2 months after that.
yeah.
And so, luckily for that, I just added a chyron at the bottom at the very end saying Chicago got into the Hall of Fame, and the whole audience just went nuts at the film festival. Then we won the festival at Sedona, and actually shortly after sold the movie to, if I remember, I might be remembering incorrectly. We still had to go and shoot the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame part, and then that was added into the movie at the end. And then that's what everyone has seen publicly is that version of the movie that makes it look like was the original version. But we'd actually already finished the movie and then added the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in because you can't release that a year after the Hall of Fame and them all complaining that they're not in the David Fosters of the world and they're actually in. It wouldn't have made sense. So
Yeah, but it's interesting, I mean, that's another way that movie business has changed. It used to be when a movie came out, it came out and everybody knew it. Now movies are out for 4 years. I didn't even know it was released. I watch it on TV. I lose track of when it was released. I see the little epigram at the end, like the ones you put up, and I go, okay, I get it now. It didn't matter that they were talking about they weren't in the Hall of Fame because at some point they got in. I don't know when.
It's
You know,
true.
it's
It would have almost been kind of cool if we didn't have it and then people thought the movie was the reason they got in. But it
yeah,
all
would
kind of
be
happened simultaneously. I think it was just kind of one of those. It also worked out because then we got to release the movie on the 50th anniversary. It was a month, yeah, a month before their 50th anniversary is when it came out.
yeah,
So that kind of coincided too and made it look like it was on purpose. But I think we would have released the movie 3 years earlier if it was finished, you know?
funny. When I do projects, I learn from everything I do. Do you think about it like that? Like, did you learn something significant from this project?
From this project specifically, I learned that if you've built up the skills beforehand, you really can. I used to see it in as an aside, the Seinfeld behind the scenes of all those DVDs in the past, where they described every episode was like running with an egg in a spoon, like you're running as fast as you can, and you have to
Yeah,
get to the finish line without dropping the egg.
yeah.
And that's what this project felt like because the movie was almost completely done just back in February, and we needed to get some more footage to show them rehearsing the song "If This Is Goodbye" and make that the end of the film.
So
And
hold on a second. Take me
yeah,
through that. How you said it was almost finished, so it must have been almost finished in your mind.
it was done editing except for the ending
So
and the beginning.
who says and trumps you in some way? Oh no, it's not done. We need some footage of people rehearsing at the end, Peter.
Well, I had finished editing the pretty much the whole movie, but it was obvious that the song "If This Is Goodbye" in the middle of that movie, where it's showing them recording it, and there's very emotional moments from some of the guys in the group,
Yeah,
that it needed some kind of sandwiching in the
need
movie.
to come back.
Yeah, and then I heard that they were going to be playing it live because the album was going to be coming out. I said, I think that I should bring a couple guys out and we can film that and I can get it edited into the movie, the very beginning, very end. And that's what we did. So we literally went to Las Vegas to film them rehearse and film some of their shows. And those nights, I'd go back to the hotel room and cut the footage together. And so the very beginning and very end of that movie were edited in probably 2 3 days, and sent it all to the color corrector and the sound mixer. And a week later, the movie was done. But I think on this one, I learned to trust my skills as being able to do things kind of with your head cut off, and you can finish it, as opposed to the first movie where that one took probably, I mean, from start to finish, it was about 4 years, but it took a long time to edit to figure it out because there was also a lot more of finding archival footage and all that stuff. But with this movie, it was almost all of my footage. I mean, there was only very few news clips or whatever we had to pull and then clear.
Right.
Uh, so it was a very different process.
That egg on the spoon technique reminds me of the Francis Ford Coppola method. You know, he's talked so often about Apocalypse Now, and in many of his films, he's famous for starting films without having the funding.
He told his daughter too with Lost in Translation. She wasn't sure if Bill Murray was going to show up in Japan, and he's like, "Just go to Japan, start going, and
Yeah,
it'll work out." And she wins an Oscar, and
it reminds me. I borrow from other industries sometimes when I don't understand what's happening right in front of me. In basketball, they say, "Put the ball in play,"
mm-hmm.
because nothing happens till the ball's in play. Um, And in the music business, so often you hear bands talk about how the best song on the album was the last one they record because the producer said to them, "We don't have the hit yet."
I
And the
mean,
band's always, F you, there's all kinds of hits on this album, but okay, we'll try one more. And then that one turns out to be the big hit single.
well,
It's
how many times
fascinating.
have you heard the story of a guitarist just doing a warm up and the other guy going, "What's that?"
Yeah,
"Oh, it's just my warm up." I think that's Joe Walsh did that probably. I remember that being in the Eagles documentary, and then
that's right.
I think "Sweet Child of Mine," same thing. It was
Yeah,
just a guitar warm up, and they're like, "That's a song."
yeah.
It comes from the id. Sometimes you don't. You're right. It's you put the ball in play, and then a lot of the times your instincts will, if you've gained enough experience, so to speak, your instincts will create something that's better than maybe something you sat down and thought through.